Elias Cade had always believed humans were too ordinary to make a difference in the galaxy. That belief had been challenged many times in his life, but never more than today, as he stepped onto the glowing surface of Zyria Prime. The planet was alive in a way that defied his senses. Floating cities hovered above luminescent seas, and the air shimmered with faint energy currents that made the skin tingle. Towers of translucent metal reached into the sky, bending light in strange patterns that made everything feel like a dream. The human delegation moved carefully across the landing platform, their suits reflecting the soft blue and purple lights of the alien architecture. Elias glanced at his crew, who were all trying not to stare at the strange world around them. Humans were considered fragile here, creatures that could not endure the subtle pressures of alien courts or understand the intricate dance of alien politics. That opinion was widespread across the galaxy, and Elias had faced it many times, but here, in the presence of the Zyrans, it was sharper than ever. Their guide, a Zyran diplomat named Tristle, led them through a maze of suspended walkways and crystalline bridges. He moved with an unsettling grace, each step precise and deliberate, and his segmented eyes flickered with faint light as he observed the humans. "The Queen is expecting you," Tristle said, his voice melodic but tinged with something unreadable. "Do not underestimate the importance of your presence. Protocol is everything." Elias nodded, feeling a tight knot of anticipation in his stomach. He had seen humans handle political situations before, but this was different. This was not a negotiation. This was a test of his instincts, his empathy, and perhaps even his courage. The Queen of the Zyrans had never shown her face publicly. No human or alien had ever truly seen what lay beneath the ceremonial helmet she always wore. There were rumors, of course, whispers of features that could inspire awe or fear, but no one knew for sure. The humans were led into a vast chamber suspended in the sky. Bioluminescent plants climbed the walls, and streams of light floated like ribbons in the air. Aliens from across the galaxy moved silently, their forms diverse and often intimidating. Some were tall and crystalline, some resembled huge cephalopods, and others had no familiar form at all, yet all paid careful attention to the humans as they passed. Whispers followed them, though Elias could not understand the language. He could feel the curiosity, the skepticism, and occasionally the amusement. When they reached the central dais, the Queen's throne towered above them, a structure of interlocking spires that seemed to shimmer with its own light. And there, behind the ceremonial helmet, sat the Queen herself. She did not move much, but her presence was commanding. Elias felt a strange pull, something that seemed almost human in its intensity, though he could not see her face. Her posture suggested intelligence, confidence, and a quiet authority that few could challenge. The audience began with polite greetings, translated through the Zyran interpreter. The humans responded with care, following every protocol to the letter, yet Elias felt the weight of judgment in the air. Every gesture, every word was being measured against standards humans could barely comprehend. As the discussions progressed, a minor breach of protocol occurred. A young Zyran aide accidentally knocked over a ceremonial artifact, causing a ripple of tension to pass through the court. Aliens gasped softly, their segmented eyes narrowing. Elias did not think, he acted. He stepped forward and carefully steadied the object, his hands firm but respectful. "It's all right," he said calmly, speaking directly to the Queen. His voice carried a mixture of confidence and empathy, a tone the aliens rarely encountered. "Mistakes happen. The meaning of this ceremony is in the intention, not in perfection." For a moment, silence filled the chamber. Then the Queen tilted her head slightly, a subtle acknowledgement, and the tension in the room eased. The humans were being watched more closely now, but for the first time there was a hint of respect in the court's atmosphere. Elias felt a thrill, knowing that human instinct, intuition, and compassion had made a difference. The day continued with formalities and tour of the floating city. Elias and his crew marveled at the architecture, the floating gardens, and the strange energy fields that powered the city. Yet through it all, his mind kept returning to the Queen. Every time she moved, even slightly, he felt a pull he could not explain. Her helmet hid her features but not her presence. Something about the way she observed the court, the humans, and even him suggested a depth of thought and emotion that few could perceive. As night fell over Zyria Prime, the delegation was invited to a gala under the twin moons. The city below glowed like a living organism, and streams of light danced across the sky. Aliens mingled gracefully, their movements precise and beautiful, but the humans still drew curious glances. They were small, soft, emotional beings, and that alone made them remarkable in this alien world. Elias found himself near the edge of the dais when a sudden commotion erupted. A group of masked figures attempted to reach the Queen, and alarmed shouts filled the chamber. The guards moved swiftly, but Elias saw a narrow path that the attackers had overlooked. Acting on instinct, he lunged forward, creating a distraction that allowed the Queen to move toward safety. In the chaos, time seemed to slow. The Queen removed her helmet. Elias froze. The sight of her face was breathtaking. Her skin shimmered faintly under the moonlight, and her eyes full of intelligence, courage, and a vulnerability no alien would dare admit, locked with his. For the first time, he felt a connection that went beyond curiosity or duty. There was something profoundly human about the way she looked at him, as if she saw not just a human, but someone capable of understanding her entirely. The attackers were swiftly neutralized by the palace guards, but the moment lingered. Elias could not tear his eyes away. The Queen replaced her helmet, but he had already seen enough. The seed of fascination had been planted, a feeling he knew would not fade. Later, in a quiet corner of the gala, Elias reflected on what had just happened. Humans were fragile, emotional, and often underestimated, but moments like this revealed something else entirely. Intuition, courage, empathy, qualities that could not be measured by strength or formality, could tip the balance in ways aliens could never anticipate. The Queen's advisors moved cautiously around her, whispering in rapid sequences, but Elias noticed the subtle glances she cast in his direction. There was acknowledgement there, a recognition of his value, even if she could not yet reveal it publicly. As the gala wound down, Elias walked along the floating walkways, feeling a strange mixture of awe and determination. He knew that his journey on Zyria Prime had only just begun. There were dangers to come, political intrigues to navigate, and mysteries of the Queen's world to unravel. But he also understood that humans were not powerless. In fact, their unpredictability, their courage, and their empathy might become the very tools that could save an alien queen, and perhaps even change the galaxy's perception of humanity forever. As he looked up at the stars from the shimmering city, Elias allowed himself a small, quiet smile. He could not predict the future, and he could not know where this path would lead. But one thing was certain. The moment he had seen her face, he had glimpsed something extraordinary, not just in the Queen, but in himself and in what humans were capable of. The twin moons reflected in the waters below, casting a soft glow on the floating city. Somewhere in the palace, the Queen watched silently, helmet in place, yet aware that a human had proven himself in ways no one else could. Their fates were now intertwined, and the galaxy itself would soon witness the consequences of that connection. Elias did not sleep that night. He wandered the walkways, observing the city and its inhabitants, noting every detail, every subtle motion. Humans were small in comparison to the giants of the galaxy, but they were resilient, curious, and capable of remarkable insight. Every step he took reinforced a truth that would soon become undeniable. Sometimes, the smallest creatures could cast the longest shadows. And somewhere within the palace, hidden from all but him, the queen wondered if perhaps she had underestimated humans entirely. Elias Cade could feel the weight of destiny pressing on him as dawn broke over Zyria Prime. The events of the gala had left the court in turmoil. Though the assassination attempt had failed, the whispers and subtle glances confirmed what he had feared. The queen was vulnerable. He could not ignore the significance of what had happened. Every creature in the court, from advisors to distant ambassadors, had noticed the queen removing her helmet. Humans rarely mattered in alien politics, yet here he was, suddenly a pivot in a game he barely understood. The palace guards escorted the queen to a secure chamber far above the glowing city, yet Elias insisted on accompanying her. His presence was not requested, it was essential. He had proven his intuition during the gala, and now he needed to ensure her safety. The queen regarded him silently, her helmet once again in place, but her eyes betrayed a mixture of caution and curiosity. "Humans are small," she said finally, her voice calm but resonant. "Yet you have caused more stir here than any Zyran ambassador in decades." Elias smiled faintly. "We have our ways. Sometimes the unexpected choice is the correct one." She inclined her head, acknowledging the truth in his words. "Your species acts on instinct. Rarely do you consider every consequence, yet somehow you survive. Tell me, human, do you understand why the court is silent now? Why many wish to see me fail?" Elias took a moment thinking. "I think I understand that power makes creatures afraid. Even when no threat exists, fear makes them act against what is right." The queen considered him, and for the first time she lowered her defenses, if only slightly. There was respect there, a recognition that humans, in all their seeming fragility, possessed a strength others overlooked. "Then you will help me," she said simply, "because I cannot trust anyone else here." Elias nodded, his mind already moving through possibilities. "I will do whatever I can. We will get through this together." The first challenge came immediately. A faction of Zyran nobles, displeased by the queen's recent decisions, attempted to undermine her authority by spreading rumors of weakness. Their spies had watched the gala closely, and they now whispered of alliances with humans as a threat to Zyran tradition. Elias observed the court's behavior, noting subtleties no alien might consider important. Humans had a natural advantage in understanding deception in all its forms. Where aliens saw only protocol and ceremony, Elias saw intent and emotion. Using his knowledge of diplomacy and observation, he identified the sources of the rumors and devised a plan to expose them without direct confrontation. Over the following days, Elias moved quietly but decisively. He intercepted messages, guided loyal advisors to counter misinformation, and used human unpredictability to manipulate the flow of information. Unlike aliens who relied heavily on hierarchy and strict procedure, humans could adapt on the fly, improvising strategies when the expected plan failed. The queen watched silently, impressed by his resourcefulness. One evening, while walking through the bioluminescent gardens of the palace, she spoke again, her voice softer this time. "I have ruled for centuries, yet I have never encountered a being like you. You do not rely on tradition or fear. You act, and somehow it works." Elias smiled, though he felt the weight of the moment. "Humans survive because we adapt. We may be small, but we are clever and we care more than most expect." Her eyes held his for a long moment, unflinching. "Perhaps that is what I need. Not a courtier who obeys blindly, but one who sees clearly, who can act where others hesitate." Their partnership solidified in the following days. Attacks on the queen grew more sophisticated as factions within the palace attempted to seize power. Aliens underestimated the humans' ability to notice patterns, anticipate moves, and act creatively. Elias' ideas were unconventional, sometimes bordering on reckless by Zyran standards, yet they succeeded. Traps were evaded, ambushes foiled, and the queen's presence remained secure. Through these challenges, Elias and the queen began to understand one another beyond words. She revealed glimpses of her personality that were hidden beneath her ceremonial duties: a quick wit, a profound sense of justice, and an unspoken loneliness that resonated with his own experiences as a human in an alien world. In return, Elias shared the subtle ways humans think, the balance between emotion and reason that often allowed them to solve problems more efficiently than the most logical alien mind could. A turning point came when a full-scale coup erupted in the palace. The queen's enemies, emboldened by rumors and fear, gathered their forces to seize the throne. Alarm sirens echoed across the floating city, and the palace was thrown into chaos. Guards engaged in fierce combat, and alien courtiers scrambled to protect themselves. Elias quickly assessed the situation, identifying a narrow path through the chaos that could lead the queen to safety. He grabbed her hand without hesitation, guiding her through corridors and over suspended bridges. "Trust me," he said. "I will not let anything happen to you." For a moment her hand trembled in his, then she squeezed it firmly, signaling trust. Humans were fragile, yes, but she understood the courage behind their actions. They moved as shadows, unseen and unexpected, until they reached a secure chamber deep within the palace. There, for the first time, the queen removed her helmet willingly, revealing her face fully to Elias. Her features were exquisite, yet it was the expression in her eyes that struck him most: fierce intelligence, tempered by vulnerability, and an undeniable spark of admiration for him. "You have done what no Zyran could," she said quietly. "You have saved me and my throne through your courage and wit." Elias shook his head. "It was not just me. Humans are underestimated, yes, but sometimes that is an advantage. We see opportunities others miss, and we act when others hesitate." The queen studied him, her gaze piercing yet gentle. "Then it is more than courage. It is understanding, insight, empathy. You understand me, Elias Cade, in ways my advisors never could." Their bond solidified in the quiet moments that followed, but danger was never far. The conspirators had not yet given up, and the palace still held countless secrets. Yet now the queen had a human ally who could anticipate the unexpected, who could act where aliens might falter. She had begun to see the value of humanity not as small or fragile creatures, but as beings capable of profound impact. In the days that followed, Elias guided the queen through political maneuvers that no alien diplomat could navigate alone. Using his insights into human behavior, he predicted the actions of conspirators and preemptively countered them. They staged meetings to appear weak, only to reveal strength at the perfect moment, turning the court's attention and favor back toward the queen. Through it all, the queen's admiration for humans grew. She began to acknowledge publicly that human ingenuity, courage, and adaptability were qualities that Zyrans often overlooked. Aliens who had once scoffed at humans now whispered in awe, their perception shifting as they witnessed a fragile species influence the fate of an entire empire. During one particularly quiet evening, high above the floating city, the queen and Elias walked together along a glass bridge suspended over the glowing waters below. Her helmet rested beside her, and she looked at him with unguarded curiosity. "Elias, I have never felt this way before. You are human, yet you have shown me wisdom, courage, and loyalty. She paused, searching for words. "I trust you in ways I never thought possible." Elias felt a warmth spread through him. Humans were small, fragile, emotional, but their hearts and minds carried power no one could measure. "Your trust is my honor," he replied. "We humans survive by caring, by understanding, and by taking risks others won't. That is how we endure." Their conversation was interrupted by a distant alarm, but neither flinched. The palace was safe, at least for now, because the queen had learned to trust in human intuition and courage. The final confrontation came soon after. The conspirators attempted one last desperate move to seize the queen, but Elias anticipated it. Using tactics no Xiran would have considered, decoy routes, unexpected distractions, and clever use of human intuition, they turned the trap against the attackers. The palace guards, guided by Elias' planning, neutralized the threat swiftly. The queen's rule was secure. In the aftermath, the queen addressed her court. She spoke of trust, courage, and the unexpected strengths of humans. She praised Elias, but more importantly, she praised humanity. Her words resonated across the galaxy, shifting centuries of prejudice against humans in a single moment. Later, as the city glowed beneath the twin moons, the queen stood with Elias. She had donned her ceremonial helmet once more, but now the connection between them was unmistakable. They understood each other, respected each other, and perhaps, in time, something more would grow. "You have changed everything," the queen said softly. "Not just for me, but for humans everywhere." Elias smiled, feeling the truth of it in his bones. "Sometimes the smallest creatures can cast the longest shadows," he said, "and sometimes the most fragile beings can hold the fate of worlds in their hands." The queen nodded, her eyes reflecting both the glowing city below and a new understanding above. Humans were no longer just curiosities. They were partners, allies, and perhaps even equals in a galaxy that had long underestimated them. As Elias looked out over the city, he felt hope. The queen, once untouchable behind her helmet, had seen him. She had trusted him. And in that trust, humans had proven something extraordinary, that courage, empathy, and ingenuity could triumph over fear, prejudice, and tradition. The twin moons shone brightly, casting their light across the floating city. Somewhere in the palace, distant whispers turned to admiration. Humans were no longer insignificant, and Elias knew, as he stood beside the queen, that the galaxy itself had changed forever. In that moment, he realized it was not just about survival or strategy. It was about being seen, understood, and valued. The queen had seen him, not just Elias Cade, human explorer, but what humanity could be. And in that recognition lay the beginning of a new era, one where humans could shape destinies, inspire change, and leave an indelible mark on the stars. For Elias, for the queen, and for humanity, the galaxy would never be the same again.